Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Capstone and Deliver. I am your host, Gramos, and I'm bringing the music and movie reviews straight from the heart from me to you, because that's what I do. Today I will be talking about Avengers Endgame. This movie has the possibility to break records, even more records than it already has, and I think that it's worthy of the title of breaking all these records for money. I think this movie serves as a great thank you to the fans of the MCU. What the idea of the whole movie was sort of like a culmination of all the Marvel movies that came before it, and it led up to this. I think this movie was served its purpose excellent, so that it can give thanks to the people who made this franchise possible. You will see throughout the movie that they constantly are foreshadowing the end of the movie. By the way, this review does include spoilers. Um, if you could see how the movie foreshadows the events in the end, you could see how Tony Stark. This was his hero's journey. This was his end of the road for him, and how he was making amends and sort of growing full circle with his character from the man we saw in the first Iron Man movie all the way to now. We saw him grow, and I think this movie just served as that great um, climax. Not climax, but it gave us closure to the series. So I think that MCU and Marvel, and along with the directors, the Russo brothers, did a fantastic job with this. I love the emotional connections in this movie, and the movie contains a lot of symbolism in it. I would talk with my friends constantly about this movie, and the first thing they would talk about was how emotional it was. This movie emphasizes a lot more in emotion rather than the action that made that gave popularity to the original Marvel movies. I think this serves as the counterpart to Infinity War, which is the movie before this, because Infinity War was filled with action, and it greatly built up this idea of everyone coming in to defeat Thanos, the bad guy. This movie dealt with the aftermath of it, and I think it dealt with it brilliantly. I loved how the characters sort of struggled, and you didn't really get to see the characters fully in their form or their top shape. For example, Thor doesn't have his natural. He doesn't have his body. He becomes overweight, and he loses his passion to defend, while Captain America goes to help groups along with Iron Man, almost losing his mind and losing his identity as the Avenger that he is. So it serves great throughout the movie that the characters find their way again and eventually achieve their victory of restoring the Earth. The symbolism in this movie was fantastic. I think the best symbol in the movie, and possibly in the comics, was the cliff. So in order to acquire the Soul Stone, you would have to sacrifice something you love. And in Infinity War, Thanos sacrificed his daughter Gamora in order to receive the stone, and they would do it with off the cliff, and it served as like a great symbol of almost like uh, harrowing despair. And I think it's a great symbol. And in this movie, Black Widow sacrifices herself in order for Ronan or Hawkeye to receive the stone and achieve the mission of defeating Thanos. And I just love the symbolism in this movie. I love the ending. The ending is a complex one, but I like the idea where they went with the ending and expanding this MCU even more, possibly branching off to other movies for some of the characters. I love how each movie almost builds on itself. So the next movie that's going to be released, which is Spider-Man: Far From Home, which will be released in about a month and a half, will build upon this one and how it affected that. And I think the creation of the crossovers serves well. It gives fans more of a comic book feel rather than a cinematic approach to it and trying to develop one full story. I think one thing that Marvel does perfectly is mix comedy in with the seriousness of the movie. It almost feels like the movie is a comedy rather than an action movie, but I feel that Marvel does this well because they don't overdo it. For example, one of my favorite movies in all the MCU was Thor Ragnarok, and I think because the director gave Chris Hemsworth, the actor of Thor, more, uh, uh, let him show himself more rather than him playing a more serious character, and I think it worked perfectly. I also think him working with Loki, who is more of like a devious person, works with their personalities work. It works with the cast. It works with everyone. I think that's why I love that movie so much. The comedy here is fantastic. You'll constantly be laughing throughout the movie. Um, Constant pop references and culture references. For example, Noob Master 69 is hilarious. I love what they did with that one. I also like the constant comedy with Ant-Man and Hulk. You know, the size differences when Ant-Man wants to eat tacos and Hulk slaps it away. I think this comedy, Marvel should increase this in comedy more in their upcoming ones. I think it's great. I think this is one of the advantages that Marvel has over the DC universe because they execute comedy better. I feel that DC, although they started to do more comedy, it doesn't mesh well with the rest of their movie, and I think it shows. And with this movie, it just flows so perfectly, and I love the comedy. This movie, one thing I did notice about this movie was that there was not a lot of action in it. I felt it was more, since it was a closure kind of film, it had to deal with emotions more rather than action. You don't really get too much action until the end of the movie, where you get the final battle, where everyone is resurrected again, and they fight the grand battle. This time out of the Stark residence, not in Wakanda. I think this action was phenomenal. It was a great scene. It was chaotic, and it served as a great a part two on the battle for Wakanda. And I think the moments in the battle, the cinematic moments, were phenomenal. In Infinity War, the moment where Thor enters Wakanda was, it gave me goosebumps. In this movie, they had Captain America lifting up Mjolnir and proving that he is able of being a great warrior, and it gives people the goosebumps, especially when the closeness and how Marvel creates the movie. They create tension constantly with Thanos trying to do this decision again of trying to eliminate half the universe, but constantly being stripped of his ability to do it with the gauntlet. I think that was a great, and playing the superheroes superheroes playing hot potato with the gauntlet was just, it constantly kept the viewer on its toes, and I think it was a great way to keep the viewers engaged in a long battle. I thought the movie was great. I was a little disappointed with the ending at first. I think it works better now that I've cooled down. Not cooled down, but understood it more. For example, I've seen Iron Man. Iron Man is one of my favorite heroes, and seeing him die was not my favorite ending. But it served the character circle, the character story, and I think it worked well. It was the decision to go. I think the foreshadowing throughout the movie, definitely, it had to lead up to that moment. I didn't like Captain America's ending. I believe it will work well with MCU, possibly creating a spin-off with Falcon becoming Captain America, but I think I didn't like the idea of him going back in time. I think they should have done it differently. But I feel the movie overall was strong. It is definitely, if you are a Marvel MCU fan, this is definitely a must-watch film. Watch it again, watch it multiple times. Definitely recommend it. Out of 100, I would give this movie a 91 out of 100, which is serves pretty strong. I think this is one of the best movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if not the best. And even if you're not a big Marvel fan, the 3-hour runtime, which seems ridiculous for most movies, I think it works well with this one, and it gives the movie it's a great film. It will be a great experience. You'll get lost in the story. You'll love it. So that is it for my review of Avengers Endgame. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out the rest of my channel and check out my website. Thank you so much.